You know, it actually feels pretty good right now. About 9:28 a.m. Thursday. Sunny day in Florida, real beautiful. Right up the street from the airport. So if you all hear airplanes, you'll you'll know why. Currently right now I'm waiting for somebody to arrive. I got a client. We're gonna be together for about maybe 40 minutes, but she'll probably be here in about a good 15 minutes, so we'll try to keep this short. Before I dive too deep into this video, I am Initial Speaks, and if you're new to this channel, I really hope that you enjoy the content in which you're about to see. If you want to see more, just subscribe to the channel, go back and watch some of the playlists, like this video because it'll help me out tremendously as far as other people seeing it, and comment down below because I really do love to interact with people that are subscribed to me. Fatherhood. I remember when I was a teenager, I always knew I wanted kids, 15, 16 years old. I remember seeing some of my friends, they had little brothers and little sisters that were just born. And I was like, one day, I want to have kids. I want to have my own family. And that actually became a reality when I was about 20 years old. And, me and my girlfriend, who is, now my wife right now, we ended up having our first child. The thing about kids is that they're not born with instructions. They cry, they whimper, they spit up, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, what do I do? What do I do? He came out, a placenta, a bunch of water, just not trying to be too graphic, but an instruction manual didn't come out. I'm like, hello, is there anything else here? Like, no, just the kid. And the nurses, they don't waste any time. Like, here, take him, cut the umbilical cord, a couple of days in the hospital, and y'all going about your day. So the first night, I remember bringing our son home. Me and my girlfriend, we didn't live together at the time. She lived with her mom. I lived with my folks. That boy started crying. I said, you know what? I'll call you later. I'll see you when I get home. I will never forget it. Monday Night Raw was on TV, like WWE. And if you see me looking over this way, I'm just making sure my client doesn't walk up on me as I make this video. But Monday Night Raw, I don't remember who was wrestling, but I remember he was crying and whining, and he wouldn't stop. So I said, I'll see you tomorrow. Deuces. So me being 20 years old, again, I was still a kid myself. I was still young, and, not knowing that was my son's way of communicating. It just didn't dawn on me at that time. Since then, we have had two more kids, all boys, by the way, ages 17, 10, and 9. I gotta catch myself sometimes and accept the fact that my kids, they're growing up. They're becoming older. The two youngest are starting to enter that adolescent phase. And I don't know if I'm ready for it. I don't know if I'm ready to accept it. Now, my wife, on the other hand, she's like, yeah, they have to grow up. She's ready for them to grow up so we can have our life back. But for me, I'm like, I'm trying my best to absorb all of the memories, all of the time that we spend together as when they're little. Because we used to do this thing a couple of years ago. I started it called the Camp Out. And what it was is that we would go in the living room and get all of the toys, all of the stuffed animals, and we would just play make-believe, and I would do voice impressions with all of the different toys, and they really enjoyed it. So, recently, I'd say maybe like earlier this year, I would ask my 10-year-old, do you still want to do Camp Out? And he's like, maybe, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, here we go. He's starting to show that he's growing out of that. He's coming out of that little kitty phase, and he's taking a lot more interest in his personal appearance, his clothes, his shoes, his hair, things like that. He's really starting to put a lot of emphasis on. And, we recently just gave away like multiple boxes of toys to kids who all for free, who don't have any toys and who may be a little, less fortunate. We wanted to bless them with some toys, but it put things in perspective that my kids are growing up and I have to question, my life. Am I working too much to where I don't have time for them? Am I giving them the attention that they need? Because, they're three kids. You can't just bunch them all up into one group. You have to spend time with them individually. All of my kids are different. They have different personalities, different perspectives, different takes. So I have to make sure that I'm giving them that special attention one-on-one because, I do want them to come around. I want them to come visit us. I want them to call us. And, because some kids, they can't wait until they're 18. Like I've heard it all the time. I can't wait till I'm 18 to get out of here. And my son, who turns 18 in a couple of weeks, I said, are you ready to leave? He said, no, I'm not ready to go. The world's scary. And, we're not being like some parents out there, and this is no disrespect, but, we don't believe in just kicking our kids out because they're 18. 18 is nothing. You're just a year above 17. Like, how is it you're 17 years old and you don't know anything and you turn 18 and all of a sudden you know everything there is to know about surviving in this world? There's still a lot of things my son doesn't know. There's still a lot of things I need to teach him. And, I gave him that invitation, like, look, you can stay as long as you want to stay, as long as you're not causing any trouble, as long as you're respecting the rules of the house, as long as you are, doing something productive, whether that's going to college or work, you can stay with us. It's fine. So, it makes me happy to know that, he's not in a hurry to leave. That just lets us know that we're doing everything that we possibly can to make him happy and to make him comfortable or whatnot. And, again, we feel the same way for our other kids as well. We want them to know that there's a place called home and that we love you and you're always welcome here. And a lot of that comes from how we raise our kids. Again, investing in them, spending time with them, showing them love, giving them memories and stuff like that. That's my primary focus right now, is to make sure that I'm not married to my career or married to my clients, but I'm married to my wife, and that I am here being an active father in my children's life. I used to train this guy. He's in his 50s. I remember he told me one time, he grew up with a single sibling, like a brother. He said, when I was a kid, me and my brother, we used to get up and we would go in the kitchen and mom would have breakfast ready. Dad would be at the table reading the newspaper, kind of like the Wonder Years or something like that. Y'all remember that show back in the day? I'm showing my age, but kind of like the Wonder Years back in the day. Dad has to go straight to work. And he said, that he would sit at the table and he wouldn't talk. He would just read the paper, drink his coffee, and like, all right, gotta go, head out the door. And whenever he was home, he would come home from work. He would go in the den and sit in the couch on the recliner and watch TV and didn't want to be bothered. He had such a hard day at work. He was so tired that he didn't want to be bothered with the kids. He didn't want anybody disturbing his time. And he told me, like, that was pretty much our childhood. Like, we didn't have a relationship with our dad. He just went to work and came home and just isolated himself. And, I never forgot that story. I was told that about 10 years ago. And I always told myself, like, no matter how tired I am, I want to make sure that I'm making time for my kids, because my kids didn't ask to be here. Me and their mother made the decision to bring them into this world. So they're our responsibility for 18 years to, to protect and to provide for and to educate and configure, as their children to go through this life. So I have a lot of days where I really am tired, where I really do feel like, oh man, I don't feel like doing anything. But, I always make sure that I spend time with them, and I'll call them in the room. They'll come sit with me or come lay with me and tell me about how they're feeling, or if there are any questions, anything on their mind. I'll just always make sure I'm attentive to those needs for my kids, because again, I don't want them growing up saying that dad was just the person that paid the bills. Even my mom told me that when we first had kids. She's like, look, it's no longer all. She told me 3 pieces of advice. Number one, or 3 facts. She said, number one, it's not all about you anymore. It's about the kid. Number 2, there's nothing worse than seeing another man raise your children. Number 3, Don't just be the man that pays the bills, because there's a lot of fathers out there that do that. In fact, my grandfather did that to her growing up. You know, he would go to work, uh, come home, not in the greatest mood, very, very aggressive, and just not really a pleasant person to be around. And it goes to show, like I said, how you treat your kids and stuff kind of will play out and manifest when the kids are adults, whether they want to be around you or not. And because my grandfather decided to treat his daughter like that, and pretty much grandkids, none of us really come around. So this is why it's important that you treat your kids, you know, very, very well. For those of you who have kids out there, like, I'm not trying to school you or tell you how to raise your family, but at the same time, you know, be wise, because you're going to get old one day, and you're going to need those people that you invested in when they were young to invest in you when you become older. So I'm gonna wrap this video up. Like I said, my client should be here like any minute. And again, I apologize for looking off. I usually don't do that, but just want to make sure she doesn't sneak up on me. I don't have to do this video all over again. But you know, spend time with your kids. Like, I understand we're all busy. We all gotta work. We gotta take care of stuff, but spend some quality time with your children. Make some memories with them, because, you know, I'm sure one day it's gonna pay off, and you will definitely see the fruits of your labor as they become older. Being a father is one of the greatest privileges I've ever had, and still have to this day. It's taught me a lot of life lessons. It's kept me out of trouble. It's made me grounded. And I believe it's made me the man that I am today. I love my kids with all my heart, and there's nothing that I wouldn't do for them. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Love you all out there. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this content, comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and like this video as well. See y'all in the next one. Peace.